Hello and welcome to this week's Market Talk. Joining us today we have David Bentley, who is the Director of Bentley Consulting and a founder member of the new Independent Food Service and Hospitality Consultants Consortium. And we also have Rob Gibson, who is the Director of Retigo UK. So welcome guys, thank you very much for joining us this week. I'm going to start off with David because it's made a bit of a stir in the market that you guys, the IFHC that has started up. So can you tell us a bit about what the motivation was for creating that?
Yeah, absolutely. As a group of consultants, we were very conscious that at present, there's no real single location to find an independent UK-based hospitality consultant, whether that be design or management. So the principal idea behind the group was to consolidate all UK-based hospitality consultants just in one place, allowing anyone seeking a food service consultant, whether that be a client or someone within the industry, just to simply easily navigate to a suitably independent consultant that can help them with their project. It's as simple as that.
Okay. And so what benefits do you think this will give to the whole food service industry and particularly back up the supply chain as well?
Okay, I think the first thing initially it will bring is clarity, not just over what a consultant does and their roles and how they might differ from other groups or bodies working with the industry at the moment, but also it provides clarity over who they are, how they can actually help, but most importantly, how we are funded and what we stand for, because there seemed to be some confusion about how we are funded, whether that's through equipment manufacturers or distributors, but that's not the case. Clients pay our fees directly, and that is how we are funded. So every bit of advice you get is independent.
David, how long had you been working on creating this organisation? Was it something that was born during the pandemic?
It's something that's been talked about for probably over, a good couple of years now, I would say, all the way through the pandemic. And maybe even just before that, but I think like a lot of people through the pandemic, it gave people a chance to reflect and have a look at what's going on, and also a bit of extra time stepping away from face-to-face meetings. So it really gave us the opportunity to pull something together and get it together, really. So yes, it's been a couple of years in its thinking.
Okay, we'll come back to that topic shortly. I'm just going to bring Rob into the conversation as well. Rob, I think obviously the big talking point in the industry at the moment is what's happening from a supply chain perspective, and some of the components and cost issues that manufacturers are facing. And I know Retigo recently came out and said that you're still in a position to be able to provide next day delivery to customers in the UK. So I just wondered if you could fill us in on how you see the situation from your perspective.
Great. Well, thanks, Andrew. I mean, from Retigo's point of view, we see ourselves as being in fairly unique and quite a lucky situation in that we're an independently owned company. And we literally saw during the pandemic, it was a time for us to invest in our factory, continue with the factory extension that we were working on, continue to train our people, and literally sort of, rather than, there are some people that sort of think that when you come to a slowdown in business, you should slow down yourselves. We didn't believe that. We knew that at some point we'd come out of this slump that we were in during the pandemic. So we took the decision as Retigo to actually invest in the factory, invest in our people. So as we were able, as soon as we were to come out of the pandemic, to release ourselves, to have product available to supply into the hospitality sector. And it's really, we're seeing the benefits now. We built up the stock in the UK. We were conscious that about Brexit and what that may bring. So we took the decision last year to invest in the UK, build in the stock, and we're really just seeing the benefits now, as where perhaps other people during the pandemic, we were conscious that they were putting people onto furlough, slowing down. We virtually did the opposite. We just continued to invest in the factory, invest in our people, and we're seeing the benefits now. There's no two ways about it.
Rob, has that kind of given you a bit of a cushion, and how long do you think that kind of preparedness is ensured you for going forwards? Say, how much do you think the supply chain challenges are going to impact you down the line?
Yeah, that's a great question, Claire. I mean, we're obviously aware, news from other German manufacturers has created a bit of a hotline during the past 48 hours. We're very, very conscious to look after our existing customers that we're growing great relationships with. We're signing a new contract with a big national account fairly soon, so we're conscious to protect them. So our strategy will be to protect the business and the distributors that have looked after us, and we worked well with over the past few years. But we're also talking to new people, and we're saying, yes, the stock is here. There is no two ways about it. We have the stock. We have the stock both in the UK and in our factory in the Czech Republic. The lead times we're quoting from delivery from the Czech Republic is perfectly acceptable. So as we sit here, we're very, very confident, super confident that we can, take on board, some of the other issues that some of our competitors may be having, and see no risk. But we're conscious we need to manage it. We were very, very conscious we need to manage the situation, which we would do moving forward.
And because recently you guys have established a local UK warehouse, so can you tell us around about where that is and how much stock that holds and what prompted this decision? Yeah,
great. Thanks, Claire. So the UK warehouse, that was really been in the planning for some time. We refer back to the pandemic. Obviously it created lots and lots of issues for many people. And as I said before, Retigo was so forward thinking. We sat down with the Retigo team this time last year and sort of said, right, we got Brexit coming. We're in this pandemic at the moment. We know we're going to come out of the pandemic. We believe that we're growing this business. We knew that we're growing this business in the UK. We sat down, we set ourselves targets in the UK, and we said, right, how are we going to achieve those targets? Well, we need to set up a UK subsidiary. And that took a lot of work. There took a lot of work by Aneta and the team over in the Czech Republic, by myself and Simon and Mike, our technical support manager. We knew that we needed everything set up properly here. We needed the stock here, technical support here, the sales here, spares, everything. And we put it all in place before the beginning of January 21, prior to Brexit starting. And once again, it's just worked for us. Yes, things are falling in our lap. We don't deny that, but we like to believe we were forward thinking enough, to make that investment. And it has been quite a considerable investment to set up a UK subsidiary, to set up the stock. And this is quite a substantial stock that we have. So we're very, very excited about the future for Retigo. There's no two ways about it. No two ways about it.
Yeah, fantastic. David, coming on to you, before we ask you more questions about the IFHC, while we're on the topic of kind of supply chain and availability issues, I just wondered, from a food service design consultant perspective, when you are now designing catering spaces and back of house areas, how much does the availability of stock play into the recommendations that you make to your clients? I'm guessing in the past you never had to worry about it, but is that now a daily concern for you?
It's a good question. I mean, historically, we all understood and worked to some of the European factory closures, so for instance, some of the furniture ones in Italy and some of the German ones for the equipment, and we all knew those and understood those, and were in certain cases able to forward think how that worked with some of the projects that might go live or might need the equipment when they were closed. What's happening now is becoming a little bit of a nightmare, if I'm being honest, because we're seeing supply chains, not just from a couple of weeks or 3 or 4 weeks lack of supply, but in some instances they're saying they just don't know when they might get new supplies. And this is particularly with things like surface materials for servery counters, and some of those finishes aspects, if we're doing, you know, new brands or refits from that point of view, it's becoming quite problematic. And of course, these could be designs or schemes that have gone through a lengthy interior design process or brand design process and signed off, you know, a year or 2 years ago prior to any of this happening. So if it's part of an overall brand proposition, it's quite tricky because they have to readdress the whole thing. If it's a scheme, you know, colour match thing, sometimes it can be a cost problem as well. It might find that the nearest alternative is twice the cost because of its availability. So it is very tricky, and we're pre-warning our clients, certainly in Bentley Consulting, we're pre-warning our clients right at the outset when we even have the initial meeting, and we know, for instance, it might be a cafe refurb or a rebrand, that these are some of the problems we're having. And if they've got any ideas of what they want, to tell us, you know, straight away, so that we can start investigating whether there's going to be issues further down the line and maybe circumvent that problem in the design process.
Yeah, you almost need a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D.
Yeah. And as Rob knows, you know, you'll think you've got the plan A and plan B, and then neither of those work, and then you have to reinvent a plan C almost on the hoof. And it's quite tricky because, you know, alongside, you know, us doing our projects, there's 20, 30 other consultants in the UK doing the same. You know, there's people doing work directly, and, you know, the materials just aren't available. And that's on top of Brexit issues as well, you know, let alone the pandemic.
Of course, yeah. And just sort of returning to obviously the new consortium that you've been involved in launching. How are you positioning that? How is it differing from, you know, other membership organisations for consultants? I guess the obvious one everyone knows is the FCSI.
Yeah, indeed. Well, it's fair to say we don't really compare ourselves to the FCSI because, I mean, really, the only real similarity we have is we're both food service related, really. We don't see ourselves as a trade body in that old context, but rather very simply a collaboration of modern professional consultants coming together. We have no chairman or governing bodies. There's no membership hierarchy. There's no membership fee in that respect. And instead, rather, what we try to put together is just a collaboration of professional consultants sharing the same aims and aspirations for not just their industry work, but their own personal businesses. And each one of us is independent, yet sort of, you know, brilliant in our own differing right, really. We'd hope that the IFHC sort of becomes the new contemporary face of food service design and management consultancy going forward. We truly believe, as with every sector in the industry, you know, we truly believe that we're all collectively better together and work better if we all support each other, even if in some instances, you know, they are our competitors. You know, I suppose a bit like Olympic athletes, because it's just finished. You know, they all train together and they almost up their game with each other for their own betterment, and in this case, hopefully the industry as well.
Bit of healthy competition there, David.
It's funny you say that, Claire, because you know, it's always been like that. You know, and when you think the FCSI is a bit of a strange thing, as are some of the other trade associations, because you come and you know your competitors, sometimes very personally, sometimes you have great friendships with them both inside and outside of work. So I think it's good to have that. Good stuff.
So, I mean, do you have a specific aim about how big you want the group to become? Because I believe that there's 11 founding members right now, isn't there?
There's 7 founding members, and I think there's 11 or 12 total members at the moment.
Right.
Although we, as we mentioned with Andrew, we've been thinking about it for 18 months, 2 years maybe. It's obviously only launched in the last couple of weeks. We don't really have any preconceived ideas about what it's going to be and how big it's going to be. So it's quite early days yet. So we're just happy to see how things pan out. And if we can get people on board, great, you know, but we're just happy to see it come together, really.
Good stuff. Okay, I'll just come back to Rob for a little bit. So again, these pesky supply chain issues. Other companies have been experiencing shortages with particular components. So I would say, how strong or otherwise is Retigo's international supply chain for components with things like electronic chips and processors and that kind of thing? Is that something that you guys have worked on too?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for the question, Claire. I mean, we took the decision, we refer back to the pandemic again, and, you know, this time last year, to invest in lots and lots of components. We pride ourselves on this independence that we have. We have a great purchasing team who work very, very closely with our suppliers, and we just took that risk, you know. But it hasn't been a risk, you know. To invest in lots and lots of components, you know, ready for when we came out of the pandemic. You know, as I say, we're conscious that it might catch up on us, but at the moment we can't see it catching up as we sit here, because the guys in purchasing did such a super job, and so we were able to make that decision to invest in the components, and we're ready to go. So yeah, we sit here. We know we've been lucky, I suppose, but by forward investing and you know, forward planning, it's worked for us undoubtedly.
Rob, you said earlier that there have been some big investments in the Czech production facility that Retigo has. What can you tell us about those? And presumably now, is it quite a globally facing business out there?
It really is, Andrew. I mean, we're supplying 50 countries now across the world. But the investment that we made, I mean, we've added 6,000 square foot onto our manufacturing capability, and we invested in new lasers, new robotic welders, new press brakes, new warehousing. You know, it was a £5 million investment that we made during 2020, and the other knock-on effect was lots of people were furloughing their staff, whereas because we were buying in all this new machinery, we had to retain our staff to train them. So we had all these training programs that were taking place during 2020 when most of our competitors, naturally so, you know, had furloughed their staff. They'd cut back on manufacturing as naturally you would. We were just doing the reverse. We thought, let's crack on with doing the factory extension. It made a logical time to do it. Invest in machinery, invest in training, invest in people, and as I say, we're supplying 50 markets across the world. The communication with our world partners is fantastic. You know, we have monthly meetings with our world partners, you know, and we're sharing all this knowledge about the world. And you know, we voted for Brexit, but I'm loving it. I find it's fascinating, you know, when you're hearing about other markets across the world, you know, and we're all going to get together in a few months, where hopefully when we can travel, you know. I'm really looking forward, because like everybody, we've had these series of Zoom meetings, and you're seeing all these faces from across the world. It's going to be lovely to meet up with some super people that we have. So it's been a bizarre, exciting time. No two ways about it. No two ways about it.
Yeah, good.
And
in the right direction, which is great.
Yeah.
David, just coming back, really a final point on the IFHC. You've spoken a lot in the last sort of half an hour about the independence of it, and clearly that's important because it's in the name of the consortium. I just wondered what your message would be to catering equipment and food service equipment manufacturers. You've said that it's not funded by those kind of organisations in any way. Can those organisations still engage with the group?
Absolutely, and hopefully for those manufacturers and dealers, the IFHC is only a good point, really, because it should bring clarity and focus to what has in the past few years been a bit of a confused arena with mixed messages about who does what within a group and within the industry. So it should bring some clarity there. But from those guys, it should make it, from their point of view, it should make it a little bit easier, because they can now find the people they need to find, hopefully in one place. So absolutely, we're, as with the FCSI, there is a similarity there. You know, we're actively encouraging manufacturers to, you know, say, we've got a new product, can we arrange a CPD course with you, or can we arrange an online course, or would you like to come to our test kitchen to see a couple of things? Absolutely, we're still all behind that, and it's important that all the individual consultants still do that level of CPD and understand what's going on in the industry. So yeah, absolutely, we're still very happy to engage with those other groups.
Okay.
Good stuff, David. So have you got any kind of particular aims or goals for the group for the next couple of years? Where do you see it going? Well,
do you know what, we're really pleased about how it's gone in the last couple of weeks, to be honest. So I think we're going to take stock probably. There's a lot going on with people's projects at the moment, with back to universities and industry opening up. So I think we're going to hold fire a little bit and maybe take stock later this year about where we are, what the membership's like, and some of the questions that are coming back about the group, and readdress what we're going to do then, and see where it goes. As I said earlier, we haven't really got any preconceived ideas about what this should be. We were just very passionate that there should be a base point for people to come together as independent consultants, share ideas, share problems, share experiences, and hopefully support not just ourselves as a you know, an industry group, but also the wider industry as well. So we'll see how it goes.
Good stuff. We are approaching the end of our time now, but I just want to give one last word to Rob, because Retigo recently let everybody know that you guys were working with South Coast Catering Equipment on a particularly interesting project, and that was for the Star Inn Hotel for TV's The Hotel Inspector, Alex Polizzi. So Rob, could you give us a little bit of an idea of how that project came about and what made it particularly interesting for you guys?
Sure. Thanks, Claire. I mean, I've loved the TV series. I must confess, it's been fascinating. My background is hospitality. I opened up hotels, and actually for the Forte organisation, going back many years. So it's been a fascinating program. But the story behind it is and presented Retigo to them, and showed them all of the features and benefits, but really emphasising on the energy efficiency, the water savings, the energy efficiency behind the Retigo oven. And Mike sort of said, hey, Alex Polizzi will love all this. They were working on the project on the Star Inn, so they introduced us to Alex, and we started chatting to them about Retigo and what it could offer to them. And they said, great, they'd love to have it in the kitchen, and the chef just loved it as well. I mean, you don't want to make it a sales pitch, but the ease of use of the Retigo oven, the chef loved, and they sort of said, well, look, we're happy to promote it for you. We think it's a great oven, and it was fascinating, going down there and sort of seeing the state of the hotel at certain times, and thinking, blimey, how on earth are they going to open this on time? But they did it, and it's been a great success. But it was literally that. And Alex loved the oven, happy to put it into a hotel, and happy for us to do a bit of a case study on it. So it's been a good series. I've enjoyed it, watching it. Excellent
stuff. So that's a lovely positive note to end on there. So thank you both very much. Thank you, David. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
We appreciate you joining us this week, and to everyone out there, I hope you've enjoyed it, and join us again soon for another episode of Market Talk. Bye bye.